Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. You are now rocking with Miss Red for story time at the Relay for Life event. How many of you have never been to Relay for Life before? Raise your hand. Are you new to this? You never have? I understand. My friend TP'd me to Relay for Life like 4 years ago in the middle of the track, and people were walking everywhere, and I had no clue what was going on. I remember reading a bunch of luminary bags, and then I couldn't figure out what was happening, so I left. So my official first relay was last year with Team Nuggets, and I had so much fun. I had so much fun that I wound up meeting Jenny over here. And Jenny said, adult napped, you're mine now. And then I joined Camping for a Cure as well. So I'm on 2 teams, but we're all one team. Let's remember that. And this year I actually got to do some really cool stuff. I went from having not a clue about any of this to the parceling, like labeling all the parcels on all 34 regions this year, and like helping out with admin stuff in the group with people needing group tags and issues with resing, and what a shift. And I've had the most fun. Like, you ever get involved in an event as an outsider and then you actually see it from the inside and you're like, wow, there's so much work that goes into even just setting this up so it actually looks like it is. It's very neat to have both sides of the perspective there. So I'm grateful that I was able to participate in the inner workings this year, and I hope to be able to do that again next year. I already told them I'll label parcels until the rest of my days. Yeah. Exactly. And I've been passing this out to like everybody I possibly can, but it's a really good introduction for anybody that might be new. And if you already have it, I'm sorry, not sorry. You're going to have it again. But Nuggets put out a really dope infomercial thing. And I'm too organized for my own good, and I've lost it. Was able to share it all week. Now I can't find it. Help! Wearable. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong year. That'll do it. Share. Here we go. We're cooking. We're cooking with fire now. Okie dokie. If you add that, like attach it as a little HUD, you can read it, right? Or you can click it, and not only will you get the texture, but you'll also get the note card, because there are themed laps that we're all going to walk around. And if you're anybody like me or one of my friends, Sugar, who really likes to accessorize and everything in SL, you can put your outfits together and save them like a whole week in advance. So next weekend, June 8th and 9th, Saturday and Sunday, is when Relay for Life really pops off. Like, you think we're popping off now? Wrong. You have no clue. Best idea. Last year, we picked all the times that we knew we were going to be online, and we made outfits to correspond to all the themed laps. And every time the radio changed to, like, it's a new hour with Relay for Life radio, we immediately pulled off to the side of the track and changed our outfits and then kept on. It's very, very cool. I could gush about it forever, but there's a lot of information. Like, you can get a little hand holder, so if you have to go AFK, somebody else can help you walk laps, or you can link yourself together like a choo-choo train, so you could wear really funny wearables. Like last year, we had the Starries Team Nuggets duck floats, and we all linked together, and we looked like one parade of duck. It was really great. I know, fast as a duck. Okay. I think I filled you guys in enough on what we're doing, sorta, and what to look forward to for this coming weekend. All of this is to benefit the American Cancer Society, to raise awareness, research, funding for teams, but also all together. If you look next to me, I'll teach you real quick how to read this kiosk for anybody that's new to this kiosk. So you'll see at the bottom, I always like to start at the bottom, kiosk total. This specific kiosk has only raised 100 lindens so far. The team total is how much linden the team has raised. So this team is camping for a cure. But if you cam out, just out from the parcel that we're in now, you will see teams everywhere. So like everybody has their own kiosks set up. Donating to them is helping each different team. But if you look at the very top for the American Cancer Society grand total, that's how much all team kiosks have raised. And to put it into perspective for you, Relay kicked off February 17th. That's when every team was allowed to turn the kiosks on and immediately start fundraising, getting that coin together. And that's a lot of linden raised from just February to June 1st. Like if you think about it, 99 million and change. Wow. Wow. Amazing. I know, right? And so as a thank you to everybody that donates to the kiosk, while we're here for story time today, I will give all the books that I read out for everybody that's here today. So our goal to get this kiosk is like, let's say we want to run that up to like a couple grand, like at least a couple grand. $2,000 maybe, hopefully, maybe a little bit more. That is the goal. That's my goal anyway. We like to set goals around her. Okay. Let's reel it in now. You're welcome. You're welcome for the stuffs. Okie dokie. Our first book, welcome back. Our first book is a collected works of lots of children who wrote in to discuss what it was like when they experienced their parent being diagnosed with breast cancer. And since we're here for Cancer Society, we are going to read a little bit about that. Kiosk has already had 2K. Oh my gosh. Raise my goal. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you guys. I really appreciate all of that. Heck yeah. Okay. Evangeline. La Fox is in the house. That's a Briarwood baby. Yeah. Oh. That's right, Wolfie. Exactly. 100%. We've all had one person in our lives that's either been diagnosed, potentially diagnosed, is currently in remission, is either in battle, whether that's a grandparent, cousin, uncle, aunt, you name it, a teacher that really impacted your life, like anybody. So we're going to do the Hope Tree. Kids talking about breast cancer. So this is really cool. These collected works were gathered by a group of people, and one of them was an MD, and apparently they formed a kids group for children that have parents that may or may not have been diagnosed. Gives them something to do, games, sports, come together, lean on each other, have group therapy and discussions. I thought that was really nice. This is by Anthony, age 8. The day my family found out. This is a picture from the day that my family found out that my mom had breast cancer. Everything was so messed up. There were a gazillion phone calls. My mom and dad were whispering, and I even heard my mom crying. I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I knew that it wasn't good, and I was scared. Nothing got done that day. My mom didn't do the weekly grocery shopping, so I ate cookies for dinner. My iguana, Sydney, she got loose. My dad put milk in the pantry on accident, and my sister went to sleep in her tutu. My house was never crazy like that before. Emma, age 10. Picturing cancer makes it a little less scary. Cancer is hard to understand. All that I know is that cancer is something that grows inside of a person's body, but it's not supposed to be there. I made a poster to show how cancer reminds me of weeds in the garden. You have to keep getting rid of weeds, otherwise, they keep growing and crowd out the flowers. Some weeds are easier to get rid of than others. There are lots of different ways to get rid of weeds: pulling, cutting them, or using spray. Doctors use different ways to get rid of cancer: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and medicine. The first picture is filled with weeds. That's like when my mother had cancer. The next picture is my garden without any weeds, just beautiful flowers that are healthy and strong. And the last picture is my mom when her cancer is all gone. Oh. You can't catch it. Boy, was I worried that I could catch my mom's cancer, but the doctor said, Lily, there is no way that you can catch your mom's cancer, just like there is no way that you can catch Trevor's broken arm. Here's my mom and my grandma and my brother and me. We could still scrunch close together for the picture because you can't catch a broken arm or cancer from other people. I'm glad I can't catch cancer because I really like hugging my mom. But some days mom's just a little too tired or a little too hurt for so much of a snuggle. I made a love phone to send my hugs and kisses to my mom, and when I have to be careful of her owies, I use it for my grandma too, but not for Trevor. Mm-mm. Lily, age 6. David, age 7. Doctors and nurses make mom better. My brother Jack, my stepbrother Simon and Spencer, my stepdad, and I visited the clinic where mom gets her treatments. We looked at the equipment and asked all of our questions. Simon asked if we could take one of the IV poles home. He's only 4, though. The nice people at the clinic are doing everything possible to help mom feel better and get her well again. They even gave us bandages and little flashlights to keep. It was really neat. Sophie, age 7. Looking for good things in the changes. Here's my twin Katie and me playing dress up. Mom got a whole bunch of scarves and hats because the chemo made her hair fall out. I don't like that Mom is bald, and I get so embarrassed in front of my friends, even when she wears her hats and scarves. But Mom keeps reminding me that she's bald because the medicine is working, and that's good. Another thing that bugs me are the days Mom gets her chemo. First, she's gone most of the day, and then she comes home tired and cranky. Katie and I found a way to cheer her up on chemo days. We decorated Katie's biggest shoebox and filled it with fun toys, books, and even some surprises. The rule is we can only open our special box on the days that Mom has chemo. I put in a special surprise for Katie, and I can't wait until she finds it. Sarah, age 5. Look for the good in something bad. This is my family at last year's big picnic. We usually go to the park far from home, but that day my mom was too tired. She looked sad, so we filled the bathtub and called it Lake Scrub-a-Tub. We had an awesome time, and there were no ants. I learned that when your mom has cancer, one thing you can expect is that there will be some bad days. When bad things happen because of my mom's cancer, we all try really hard to turn them into good things. Sometimes we can't, but we always try our very best. This helps us feel better, and Mom feels better too. Jamal, age 12. An ocean of emotion. This is my grandpop. He listens to me when I feel down. I've been having a whole bunch of yucky feelings since my mom got cancer. First, I was really sad. Then I got mad about all the changes. I was so worried her cancer was my fault. But Grandpop promised me it wasn't. And I believe him because he's a very smart man. I hope I'm as smart as he when I grow up. I talk about how I feel with my friends from school, too, and with my new friends at Kids Talk. Now I know it's also okay to feel happy about other things, even when my mom is feeling crummy. Whatever we feel doesn't change the most important thing. We all want our moms to get better as soon as possible. Miguel, age 7, family meetings. This picture is from one of my family's meetings. We sure needed them after my mom started treatment. Before, everyone argued about who was allowed to do what, and I never knew what I was supposed to do. Meetings help everyone in my family talk to one another. Mom and Dad explain the new rules, like who takes out the garbage or who puts the dishes in the sink. I mean, I'd rather put the dishes in the sink than take out the garbage. Talking with my family helps me understand what's going on and makes me feel better and a lot less lonely. Now I feel like we're all on the same team. One team. You don't have to have special meetings to talk, but if you do, you might end up with a snack like peanut butter and chocolate chip cookies. Mmm. Kim age 5 and Kisa age or Kim age 8 and Kisa age 5. Helping helps. We sure wish we could fix our mom's cancer. Even though we can't, there are lots of things we can do to help out, and here is our list. Kisa, number 1. Hang up all the get well cards. Number 2. Make pictures to cheer up mom. Number 3. Pick up after my room. Number 4. Don't tease Kim. Number 5. Work hard in kindergarten. Kim's list is number 1, make my lunch. Number 2, don't tease Kisa. Number 3, do my best at school. Number 4, play quietly while mom naps. And number 5, feed Otis the fish. Jessie, age 9, the hope tree. At every meeting of Kids Talk, we all share stories about having hope. Some of us pray, and that helps. Jamal talks to his grandpa. My big sister writes in her diary, the one I'm not allowed to peek in. Miguel's mom visits our group after her hair grew back, and she was all healthy again, and that helped me feel really hopeful. Even when I'm scared or my mom is very sick, I can still have hope. Hope for her to get better. Hope for her to have a good day. And hope for me to feel less afraid, too. This is my hope tree. I write on each paper leaf something I'm hoping for. Some leaves stay the same, others change. When a wish comes true, or when something I hope for doesn't happen, I make a new leaf with new hope. Keep hoping. The end of the hope tree. It was really cute. I really like that they pulled various ages from 10 all the way down to like 3. I think that's great. We're going to read a couple of Frog and Toad together stories. They are kind of long, so I'll probably read like 2 of these. And then we get into the sads. Yeah. I know. Frog and Toad together again. Frog likes chocolate chip cookies that Toad bakes. Toad. Toad likes the flowers that Frog grows. Frog has a best friend. So does Toad. Can you guess who their best friends are? Who's their best friends? It's Frog and Toad. See, Frog is Toad's friend, and Toad is Frog's friend. Right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Now I have Ribbit to the limit stuck in my head. Oh my gosh. Okay. A list. One morning, Toad sat in bed. I have many things to do, he said. I will write them down, all down on a list so that I can remember them. Toad wrote on a piece of paper, a list of things to do today. Then he wrote, wake up. Well, I've done that, said Toad, and he crossed it out. Ksh. Then Toad wrote other things on the paper. Eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, walk with Frog, eat lunch, take a nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep. That's a whole day. It's a well-versed list. There, said Toad. Now my day is all written down. He got out of bed and had something to eat. Then Toad crossed out, eat breakfast. Shh. Toad took his clothes out of the closet and put them on. He then crossed out, get dressed. Shh. Toad put the list in his pocket. He opened the door and walked out into the morning. Soon Toad was at Frog's front door. He took the list from his pocket and crossed out, go to Frog's house. Shh. Toad knocked at the door. Hello, said Frog. Look at my list of things to do, said Toad. Oh, said Frog, that's very nice. Toad said, yeah, my list tells me that we will now go for a walk. All right, said Frog. I'm ready. Frog and Toad went on a long walk. Then Toad took the list from his pocket again. He crossed out, take walk with Frog. Shh. Just then there was a strong wind, and it blew the list out of Toad's hand. The list blew high up into the air. Help! Help! Cried Toad. My list is blowing away. What will I do without my list? Hurry, said Frog. We will run and catch it. No, shouted Toad. I cannot do that. Why not? Asked Frog. Because, wailed Toad. Running after my list is not one of the things that I wrote on my list of things to do today. Okay. Frog ran after the list. He ran over hills and swamps, but the list blew on, and at last Frog came back to Toad. I'm so sorry. I could not catch your list, gasped Frog. Well, said Toad. I cannot remember any of the other things that were on my list of things to do. Now I'll just have to sit here and do nothing, said Toad. So Toad sat, and he did nothing, and Frog sat with him. After a long time, Frog said, Toad, it is getting a little dark. Maybe we should be going to sleep now? Go to sleep? Shouted Toad. That was one of the things on my list. Toad wrote on the ground with a stick, go to sleep, and then crossed it out. There, said Toad. Now my day is all crossed out. I'm glad, said Frog. Then Frog and Toad went right to sleep. The end. Then we have the garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came by walking. What a fine garden you have, Frog, he said. Oh, yes, said Frog. It is very nice, but it was hard work. I wish I had a garden, said Toad. Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground, said Frog. Ah! Ah! Oh my gosh. A book attacked me. And so plant the seeds in the ground, and soon you will have a garden. How soon? Said Toad. Oh, quite soon, said Frog. So Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. Now seeds, said Toad. Start growing. Toad walked up and down a few times, but the seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, Now seeds, start growing. Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. I agree, Koi. I agree with Koi. He did not say please. Pretty please. Mm-mm-mm. Toad put his head very close to the ground again and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing!" Frog came running up the path. What is all that noise?" he asked. "My seeds will just not grow," said Toad. "You're shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds, they're afraid to grow." That's what it is. "My seeds are afraid to grow?" said Toad. "Of course they are," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them, and soon your seeds will start to grow." That night Toad looked out of his window. "Drats," said Toad. "My seeds have still not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Ah! So Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad, "and then they will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day Toad sang songs to his seeds, and all the next day Toad read poems to his seeds, and the next day after that Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground, and the seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired and fell asleep. "Toad! Toad! Wake up!" said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were sprouting up out of the ground. "At last!" shouted Toad. "My seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad. "But you were right, Frog. It was very, very hard work." Oh, the end. We're going to shift gears to the next book. That's when we get our tissues. And this way, you guys will have something else to read because we didn't finish the Frog and Toad book. Aw, yeah. That's adorable. Aw, planted little baby. Came up out the ground. Yeah. Okay. Y'all ready with your tissues? I'm being for real. Last time I read this, Jenny put a giant box of Kleenexes next to me. Oh, it was huge. Yeah, Kiss. Be prepared. That's right. See, Kiss was here for that. Yeah, this one is a tearjerker, but Jenny said you have to read Hair from My Mama again. You can't do a story time without it. And I said, you're right, but it's sad. Yes, cue the Mufasa's not crying. You keep all that humor. We're gonna need it when the story's over. All right. This is Hair for My Mama by Kelly A. Tinkham. Most folks don't know how important hair is, but I do. Hair has always been important to us Carters, especially in October on Picture Day. I look best in a fade, and my sister Yolanda likes braids and beads. Little Stevie and Papa have short, natural hairdos, and Mama keeps her hair long and braided, except on Picture Day, when she loops and gathers her braids together in a beautiful black crown. But that changed back in August when Mama got cancer. Mama said cancer was a disease. Some small part inside of her was growing too quickly and too big and was crowding out the other parts that she needed. Sounded to me like the weeds growing in Mama's flower garden, crowding out the marigolds, petunias, and snapdragons. Mama said she would take a medicine called chemotherapy. The medicine worked to stop the cancer. Where were we? Oh, yes, the crowded of the marigolds and petunias and the snapdragons. Mama said she would take a medicine called chemotherapy. The medicine worked to stop the cancer from growing, but she might feel sick and tired and lose her crown of hair. All September, I watched Mama brush her hair thinner every day. Mmm, she said one morning. Seems I'm shedding even more than Sophie. Sophie was our cat. Oh, Mama, I told her, knowing she missed her braids. Even if you lose all your hair, I'll find you more. Mama pointed her brush at me. How are you going to do that, Marcus? I don't know, I admitted, but I will. By October, that promise had slipped my mind. Picture day was coming. Papa had hired Midge Larson to photograph us under the trees at Crawford Park. Mama loved those fire-red maples, blaze orange sassafras, golden yellow beech. Best trees in Mullen County, she always said. But this year, Mama hardly noticed the trees. When I showed her a sugar maple red as a cardinal, she was so tired all she managed to say was, mm-hmm. By now her head was bare, and when she smiled, her eyes still looked sad, like mine did last year when my favorite cousin Richie moved all the way to Virginia. I worried even more when picture day was 5 days away, and Mama hadn't taken us shopping for our clothes. I decided to talk to Yolanda. She was 10, 2 years older than me. Mama's sick, she said, real sick. My promise sneaked into my mind, and I couldn't help saying, nothing a little hair won't solve. Yolanda rolled her eyes. It's not that simple, Marcus. Some people don't get better. Oh, Mama will, I said. She's taken her medicine. She'll get better. That Monday night, I asked Mama about picture day. She felt queasy and was resting in the chair while Papa cooked supper. Her face was puffy and pale. We'll have pictures, she said, squinting at me. But I don't think I want to be in them. I mean, me with no hair? I don't even have the heart to see a picture of myself with no hair. Yolanda dropped her book and leaned on Mama's chair. It won't be the same without you, she pleaded. You can wear a gelt. No one will know you're bare underneath. Oh, I'll know. I will know I have no hair. Mama got a faraway look in her eyes, and she said, I don't want to be remembered that way. It didn't seem right, Mama not being in the pictures and all. I'll find you hair, I told her. Yolanda rolled her eyes at me again. Mama didn't say anything. She only smiled and went back to dozing. All the next day, I kept my thinking cap buckled, working on finding hair. After school, Mama took us shopping at DeWitt's department store. You go on ahead, she said. I'll be along shortly. We headed straight for the toys, though we didn't make it that far. I stopped at the Halloween aisle. It was full of costume masks and something else. Look, I said. Hair! Wigs of hair! Yolanda and I snatched several. Here, try these on, I told Mama. I don't know. She hesitated until even Yolanda begged. After looking around, Mama knelt and took off her hat. I helped pull a wig onto her head. Well, she said, am I beautiful? Too red. I laid the doll-like hair down. Yolanda tried witch hair. Too gray. The scarecrow hair was too pokey. The clown wig way too colorful. Seemed the afro was the closest to Mama's real hair, but not quite right either. I was about to try another when Mama took my hands in hers. Marcus, Mama can't wear these costume wigs. I don't feel like myself in them. I feel like a striped tiger dressing up in spots. Do you understand what I'm saying? I nodded. Inside, my heart felt tighter than the knots Papa made when he tied my shoes. I knew if I was to find hair Mama would wear, it would have to be something really special. The week slipped by, and soon it was Friday evening, before picture day, and the knots in my heart were harder than ever. Mama was worn out all the time, but I couldn't sleep. Finally, I drifted off that night, praying for a double miracle, that Mama would be in the family pictures and to get better. Next morning, the sunrise set the trees on the fire with color. Mama fixed Yolanda's braids. Papa used to pick on his and Stevie's dews, but I wasn't a bit closer to finding hair from Mama. After breakfast, Papa dropped me at the barber shop while he ran Saturday errands. Tell Mr. Dorr to freshen your fade, he told me, and not too short. Mr. Dorr was cutting a man's hair. Clip, clip, clip. Hair tumbled to the floor. I glanced once, then twice, at the pile around Mr. Dorr's shoes, and that's when I knew exactly what I needed to do. Mr. Dorr called me to the chair. How's your mama been? I didn't really know what to say, so I answered, she's coming along fine. I wanted him to hurry and cut before Papa came back. Good, said Mr. Dorr. Need your usual today? Nope. I hoped Mr. Dorr wouldn't question me too much. Trim it all off, please. Now, Marcus, you always get a fade. He reached for the telephone. I better call your mama. No, no, I said. Mama is resting, and Papa dropped me off. Told me to tell you exactly what I needed. Mr. Dorr let the phone rest. All right, Marcus. I hope I don't get into hot water for this. I sat stock still while the trimmer hummed. Bzzz. Mama would have hair. She would be in the pictures, and she would get better. Soon Mr. Dorr whirled me toward the mirror. All done, boy. I couldn't believe my eyes. I looked different. Like Mama. I must have sat staring longer than I realized, because when I finally looked, the floor was clean. Where's my hair? I was frantic. I need it. Mr. Dorr laughed. You don't want your hair, Marcus. It's been on the floor. I swept it into the trash with everybody else's. I burst into tears. My plan hadn't given me a single hair. I cried all the way until Papa came. Marcus, said Papa, what happened? I couldn't stop crying to answer. Mr. Dorr tried to explain, and Papa pulled me close. What's going on, son? Hair! I gulped. Mama needed hair, and I cut mine to give to her. I sucked in another breath. But Mr. Dorr threw it away. Now I was sobbing. Papa said goodbye to Mr. Dorr and took me home. I know, sunshine. I tried to tell you to get your tissues. I tried. Mama was waiting on the porch. Papa took my hand and led me to her. Tell Mama what you tried to do today. Nervously, I told her the story. She didn't say a word. Her lips were squeezed tight, and her eyes glistened like cups of water ready to spill. I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry I lost your hair. Baby, you didn't lose anything. Mama held my face between her hands. I don't need hair when I have you. But without hair, you won't get any better, I said. Who will be my mama if you go away? Oh, Marcus, she said. Finding me hair wouldn't make me better or worse. Though I don't like being this way, it doesn't mean the medicine is working hard inside of me to stop the cancer. Oh, it does mean. And the doctor says I'm making real progress here. Mama slipped her arms around me. But I promise I will never stop being your mama because I'll always be with you in your heart. My love wraps itself around you and won't ever let you go. No matter what? I asked. No matter what, she said. I hugged Mama so tight that those knots in my heart loosened and fell away. Soon we had a family bear hug, and I knew that we would meet whatever happened down the road together. Before leaving for the park, Mama said, "Wait a minute." She ran inside the house, and when she came back, she had her gel wrapped around her head, just like Yolanda had suggested. "Now let's get some family pictures taken," she said as she was smiling. That afternoon, Midge photographed us by the Crawford River. Mama said the trees were wearing their best colors just like us. And a month later, my hair was growing back fine. 3 months later, Mama came home from the doctor with good news. The chemotherapy is working, and in 6 weeks the treatments will be done. At least for now, no more cancer. Yippee! We whooped and we hollered around the house. Mama took me in her arms and rubbed that fuzz growing on my head, too. What do you say? Mama try a little bit of hair again, too? I say yes! Hair was nice to have, but not as nice as me having Mama and Mama having me. Papa said soon as the dogwood trees bloomed that we were starting a new Carter family tradition. Family Picture Day in May. Think I'll try a new hairstyle. Wonder what Mama will think of me with braids. The end. To Mark, Justin, Jared, and Mick, my special guys who gave their hair for me. Cat. Oh my goodness. I thought I could make it through without crying, but I was wrong. The Mufasa tears got me. You know what, Dolce? I thought the same thing. I thought everybody might shave their hairs for the picture, too. It makes me want to hug my mama, too. I agree, Sunshine. I agree. After that, we just have to have a shake. Let's just appendages, wiggle the wrists, just limp arms, just give it a little shake it out. Shake it out. Wow. That's what it's like. Yes. Thank you guys so much. I just looked at this kiosk. We're at 5,000. That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you all so much. We are on our last story, and then once we finish this story, if you hold on for just a few shakes, I'll box up the books and send them to everybody, and you'll have them. You did. We're fighting for odd numbers. Do it again. Oh, goodness. So this is a series of books, but I wanted to read this specific one from the series, but the rest of it's called On the Way to Woodyland. And so Taryn the Toad tosses pebbles. TTTP. Taryn Toad tosses pebbles. Yeah, all right. They could have said Taryn the Toad tosses tubular, I don't know, I don't know, tomb raiders. There could have been a rock word with a T there that would have just really sealed the deal for me with 4 T's, but Taryn the Toad tosses toast. Yes, exactly. Thingamajig. Love it. I love it. Anything with a frog is, yeah. Okay. What's dedication? This book is dedicated to all the children in the world and to all the people that have touched my life, my husband, my parents, my children, and my grandchildren, all of whom I love beyond words. By choosing the higher path, I have been inspired to write this book and dedicate it most of all to the love in the universe that gives only the happy dreams if we but choose to awaken to them. In love and joy, Gabrielle. With love to the children. Taryn Toad, who was tossing toast, awoke early one morning and decided to spend the day meandering and pondering around Moon Lake. Pondering always made Taryn feel happy, peaceful, and a little bit better inside. She stretched and wriggled her toes. She rubbed her bright big eyes and combed her long lashes till they curled upward towards the blue sky. Then she headed for a lily pad floating on Moon Lake to toss pebbles before anyone else arrived. She pulled a handful of pebbles from her pocket and took a small writing pen from her pretty pink pinafore. She started thinking about her deepest feelings. As she felt each one in her heart, she wrote the same feeling on each one of her pebbles. When she had finished writing on each pebble, she placed all of them in one hand and began pondering. Pondering was something Taryn loved to do. It made her feel better inside and much, much happier too. The early mornings were so quiet, still, and peaceful. Taryn Toad loved Woodyland. The divine sun was warming the lily pad, and Taryn felt very content to just be still. She closed her eyes, sat quietly, and began feeling the warm sunlight on her head. It sank deeper and deeper until she was warm all over. As Taryn pondered, she tossed one pebble and said, "I'm not good enough." And as it hit the water, the pebble began drawing bigger and bigger circles that spread across Moon Lake. "I am good enough. I am good enough." The pebble disappeared in the water, and Taryn Toad breathed deeply. She replaced that old feeling with that new feeling of "I am good enough." Her own words were like tiny echoes from the circles and ripples of the pond. They repeated over and over in her head that she was, in fact, good enough. Taryn Toad was glad that the old feeling on the pebble was gone forever, because in its place was the tiny echo which kept saying, "I am good enough." She picked another pebble to toss, and it said, "I can't do anything right." Again, Taryn Toad tossed the pebble into the water, and it was soon out of sight. Then, breathing in the fresh air of Woodyland, she said to herself, "I can do everything right." And she knew she could, for the tiny echoes from the circles told her so. Each pebble Taryn tossed drew the same circles that grew bigger and bigger, and the old feelings on the pebbles were always gone. Every time she tossed a pebble, she felt happier and more peaceful inside. After the pebbles were tossed, she could only hear happy little echoes in her head. The echoes told her that she was special and that she mattered. Taryn Toad felt happy to be herself and content to be alive in Woodyland. She wondered where old Joseph Fin Frog was at this fine morning. He's probably having breakfast on another lily pad, somewhere on the other side of Moon Lake, she thought. I am angry. I am sad. Very, very mad. And suddenly Taryn Toad looked up and saw her friend, Cameron the Cloud. Frowning, he shouted down to Taryn and said, I am angry. I'm sad. And I'm very, very mad. Okay. He began dropping raindrops like sad little tears, and when they hit Moon Lake, the raindrops drew circles which grew bigger and bigger. When all the raindrops had fallen from Cameron Cloud, something wonderful happened. He turned into a cottony, fluffy, white, floofy floof cloud, and no longer was frowning. Now Cameron Cloud was smiling, and said to Taryn Toad in a very friendly voice, I'm not angry, and I'm not sad. I'm happy, I'm peaceful, and I'm very, very glad. I drew bigger and bigger circles when my raindrops fell, and I don't have them any more. I feel very, very well. Now all I hear is their happy little echoes as I go across the sky. Goodbye, Taryn Toad. I have to say goodbye. Smiling, little Cameron Cloud drifted peacefully on across the sky. Taryn Toad waved goodbye to him and started pondering again. It seemed to Taryn that the pebbles could easily be swallowed by the circles of water. Cameron Cloud's raindrop tears disappeared, too, as the circle stretched across Moon Lake. Taryn decided to take a short swim. As she was swimming, a thought came to her. Where do the pebbles go when they draw circles in the water? Taryn wondered. She dove below the water and looked around, but wherever she looked, no pebbles were found. The water was deep, the water was wide, the water was all one. Pebbles were gone. Taryn Toad swam back to the lily pad and settled back down to be warmed again by the divine sun. Yes, she thought, the lake's water is all one, just like Woodyland where she had always lived. She dozed in the sunlight, felt in her pocket. There were no more pebbles to toss today. She decided it was time for breakfast. Somewhere on the lake she would find old Joseph Fin Frog and tell him about the pebbles and her friend Cameron Cloud and his raindrops. For she now know that there are many ways of drawing circles in a pond, and everyone can make them in different ways. She also knew how light she felt now that she had tossed away those pebbles. They had been rather heavy to carry around. She was sure Cameron Cloud thought his raindrops were heavy too. The echoes in her head were much more fun to hear, and she knew for sure it was very, very clear that the water is just one and the pebbles were gone. Taryn was content with that thought. The end. Of Taryn tosses Toad pebbles with toast. Of Toad tossing Taryn toast pebbles. Yeah! Yoo! Thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh. I glanced up from the book to see 10,000 raised in the kiosk. Thank you guys so much. That is fantastic. Fantastic. Give me a few minutes and I will box these books up for y'all. You're gonna get the books. Just a minute. You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming to story time today. But this is not all that's happening. There are events happening this whole week. If anybody wants to shout out their event, we got Nuggets here. We got Jenny here. Tell them all the cool stuff. Have y'all done your dino eggs yet at Nuggets? Because mine is grown. Ah! Is yours grown?
Oh, the door, dinosaur.
Open the door, get on the floor.
I've got
Everybody
3 more
wants a dinosaur.
matches. I really hope I get my rainbow dino.
Rainbow dino. Rainbow dino. Yay!
Very nice.